Okay, so getting to today and assignment 2, I'm going to show you 2 different ways of string formatting. The first is by using the format method, which is a string method. And in my opinion, this is the less powerful way of doing things. But I'm going to show it to you because I want you to know a few different ways of doing different things. So the format method allows you to insert variables into text. It avoids data type conflicts. Remember I said you can't put a number in the middle of a string? Sort of lied. As of today, you can using the format method. And it also allows you to format strings on the fly. So if you have a string that is a currency value or a number, and you want it to be formatted with, if like you're saying dollars, if you always want it to have 2 decimal places, you can always force it to have 2 decimal places. That's really useful when it comes to creating applications that make sense to the user. Remember, the user experience is very important. So str format has a couple of different ways to do things. And this is a good page in the function reference. You are inserting something called price, and there's a colon dot 2f. That is a notation. Everything after the colon is how you're formatting that. Everything before that is the variable that you're inserting. And you can see on the next line, we've got txt.format price equals 49. And so it'll take 49, insert it here, and add 2 decimal places to it. This will take a little bit of practice, but you'll get it. So you can use a variable name, or a key and value pair is what that's called. You can also use an index if you want to use multiple values and put them in, or you can use empty brackets. And those are curly braces. I know it's hard to see right there, but you'll see them here. So 3 different ways to insert placeholders into a string that you intend to use with String.format. The first one is empty. And this is probably, I think, the most dangerous way to do it because you're not specifying what goes in there. And therefore, you might not be thinking about what goes in there enough to make sure that you've got 3 things to put in there. This one is an index. Anytime you hear the word index in computing, important to remember that all indexes start at 0. The first item in an index is always item 0, and then it goes 1, 2, and so on. So when we get into lists later on, and we talk about the index for the items in a list, if I have a 3-item list, those items will be index number 0, 1, and 2. A lot of people start with 1, and then they wonder why they're not getting the right thing in the right place. So 0, 1, and 2. This helps you a little bit more than the empty ones because at least here you're keeping track of how many things you're putting in. Possible faults here though, again, starting with 1 or maybe not having the right number of things because you get confused by the index number. I think this is the most powerful way to do things, and that is to use key and value pairs that tell you here's what goes in here. Okay, and so str name, str age, str color. What they have in common is these curly braces around them. Anytime a Python sees those in a string that has the .format method applied to it, it's going to look for something to put there. If it doesn't find it, it will have an error. So if it's empty or indexed, you have to have the same number as blanks. If it's names, if you're using names like a key value pair or variable names, you have to have a variable for every name that's in the string. If you don't have the same number of things to put in the string that you have spaces, you will get an error. Okay, so let's take a look at how that works. Okay, str text, and I'm going to just create my name is str name, and I am str, let's just do an int age. There we go. I can put an int in here because format doesn't care. Okay, so there we go. Now let's str formatted. I'm creating another variable here. I don't have to. I could use self-assignment, but I'm going to do it this way. Str text dot format. And now the arguments that I'm giving format have to be matched up with these. So I'm going to give it a string for name, and I'm going to give it an int for age. Okay? And then the last thing I'm going to do is print str formatted. So the way this works is str text is that exact string, including the curly braces. In fact, if I print that out first, which let's just do that, print str text. When I print that out, it's just that exact string. The curly braces, the variable names, all of that's going to get printed out just the way I have it in that string because it's exactly that string. However, when I run the format method against it, it takes these and puts it in there. Okay. So now there's one thing I have to do before this will actually work, and that is I'm going to assign those to actual variables that match. So I have one of these for one of these, and one of these for one of these. And now it should print both of those lines properly. Okay, so you can see when I run it, the first print statement prints out str text exactly the way I wrote it, including the curly braces and the variable names. When I run the format method against it with the appropriate variables, it puts those variable values in instead of those statements. Now, what if I take these off and run it? Will it still work? No, it will not. Because if I name something here, then I have to name it down here. Okay? I have to give it an actual name. But if I say 0 and 1, it will work because it's what it does is it says take the first one in the index, which is Bill, and index 0, put it there, and take index number 1 and put it there. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so I can also leave those blank. This is my least favorite. It'll just fill them in order. It's sort of haphazard, if you ask me. I like to be a lot more precise, so I prefer this string method.